Thank you for joining us for this episode of Who Does She Think She Is? Audacious financial journeys with tremendous Black women. I'm Mele Miller, 30-year bank exec that you wish has always been your friend. Who does she think she is? I'm especially excited to introduce you to, if you don't know her already, the Maya French. She is an entrepreneur many times over. She's an innovator. She's a creator. She is a workflow genius and an operations professional. That might sound a little unsexy, but by the end of this conversation, you'll realize just how sexy it is. I am so happy that you're here. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor. It is a pleasure. I'm excited for our conversation.
Me too. Yeah. And thank you for bringing these awesome treats. So I have a special relationship with caffeine.
Okay.
And before I even knew that Happy Pop had caffeine in it, I got excited about the flavor, Tangerine Dream. It's been an interesting morning.
Yes.
I could use a little lift. So I am going to enjoy Tangerine Dream now, and then I'll skip over to Rainbow Drip.
Love it. Love your honest opinion.
No aftertaste. Okay. I don't want to throw shade, but thank you for creating an energy drink without an aftertaste. But if we could,
Yes.
I'd like to start with key elements of your journey that got you to this point and what this point in your career actually is or what it means.
Yeah. I think of my life in 5 to 10 year spurts.
Okay.
And so I'm 33 now. And
looking fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Looking like you're 18, baby skin, kind of mad at it, but not mad.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I know. It's so funny when younger guys hit on me. I'm like, no, look, I'm older.
I don't even think you have to say that. Anyway, who am I?
Cougar Town.
Listen. Woo, different
Love
show,
it.
but also I would like to discuss that. Yes, please continue.
So if I look at my life 10 years ago, I was 23 years old. Maybe a year prior, had left school. I was in college, didn't know where I wanted to go in my career, was thinking about studying marketing because it seemed like, yeah, well, that's adjacent to business. And it's kind of like my first step into business. But I still didn't know what was that thing that like set my soul on fire.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be passionate. And so I met my business partner at 22, and we started a juice company when I was 23. And it was simple as I had a friend who had a produce business that was family owned, and he would deliver like I don't know, carts load of produce to my apartment, and we would juice and then sell it to a grocery store. And that was my first step into like real entrepreneurship.
That's incredible. So you juiced some fruit that a friend had delivered to your house.
Yes.
And got a contract with a grocery store.
A local grocery store that had just, and this was in Chicago in 2013. So it was a while ago. This was kind of the beginning era of the natural food industry. It's not what it is today, where you see a lot of like cool, young, hip celebrities or like people coming out with cool products. It was very interesting kind of entering an industry that had been mostly ran by farmers or big corporations and coming into something very new. But what we quickly realized was the juice market was saturated. There were already players like Suja Juice or Blueprint Juice that were doing a very, very good job, but they were also lowering their prices to compete with grocery stores who were producing their own.
I see.
And we pivoted to protein drinks, which was my real first company, Koia. It started off as a juice company, and then it led to a protein drink company. And it was the whole thing of I have an idea, it's sticking, it's working, and now this is the path that we're going to go down. We pivoted immediately.
For those of you who are unaware of Koia, it is my jam.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
Just speaking from experience, lived off protein shakes my entire life. So
Love it. That was a plant-based protein, 18 grams of protein, 4 grams of sugar. We wanted to perfect everything that was wrong with it.
tasted good.
Yes.
Plant-based, that's hard to achieve.
It is because of the
So
grittiness or just
The
tasting
aftertaste,
like plants.
everything. Yeah. It can taste like dust.
So yeah, that was definitely one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. Just hearing feedback from customers and people just a fan of the product. In 2016, which was like 3 years later, investors had found us. So it was a very untraditional like fundraising route in which we didn't have to pitch to a ton of people, but that came with its own challenges.
Yes. So would you care to share a few?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
There's a humbling experience of like starting this over again and starting another beverage company, because I know what it feels like to be kind of like the hot girl at the bar, which everybody wants to talk to you, but how do you decide?
I don't know what that's like.
It's like, how do you decide who's the great guy when there's like 50 guys?
Who gets your time?
Yeah, who gets your time? Who gets your trust? Sometimes when you're the hot girl at the bar, you're like, well, the person who has the most money can win my heart. And it was a similar experience in business. It was like, well, this person seems very wealthy and very well connected, so maybe they're the right partner to bring on. But, you know, as time goes on, you really have to look at like aligned values. And I think that was something. It's so very important. So a lot of lessons learned there, and just having people that you can trust and who believe in you, not just the product and the things that you've created. Because when something is good and great, it really is because of the heart and soul that has gone into it. And you have to have people that believe in the heart and soul and not just the end product.
Correct.
So that was definitely a journey for us. And it moved me to LA, the company did, in 2016. In 2019, I said I went on my claim to fame. I got Forbes 30 under 30.
You did. Congratulations. Yes, it's very exciting. It's a huge recognition.
I didn't feel recognition prior to that happening. Yes.
Can we lean into that for a moment? I'd like to ask you, when people in your field see you, when you were talking about entering a space with farmers, why would they think, who does she think she is to be in this space?
I can look back at one specific moment which really hurt my feelings. I was at a trade show and a woman had came up to our booth wanting to interview for a position.
With your organization?
Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't think twice to say, oh, you're the brand ambassador, where's your boss? And I was like, this is a woman who has clearly not done her research on the company. And she thinks
is
that
all over the company.
Yeah. And she thinks that I'm the brand ambassador, which is like, there's nothing against brand ambassadors, but you're wanting to apply for a position. And so I use that as an example because I dealt with that a lot, but to deal with it from a woman who's looking at another woman, and you even perceive me that way without even thinking that I could be of a higher ranking, a higher position. So often, even today, I step into rooms, I step into environments, and because I look 18 and I'm Black and all these things, people already have their like preconceived ideas of like, you know, how I should act or how I should be. Or so many people have told me, you got lucky. You got so lucky. And I'm like, well, let me show you what luck is.
Ooh, what would you have preferred that they said?
You worked really, really hard and you deserve everything that you have, and it wasn't luck.
Say it. Hey, I'm not afraid to say that I get angry. And I own that anger because it tells me a story about what my experience is, what your experience is, and what I don't want to see again. Across this multi-business journey, you've launched so many new and fresh things. Being an entrepreneur is about ups and downs. Was there a significant financial setback that you experienced that you're comfortable sharing? And what did you learn from it?
Like 2016, right before we got the National Whole Foods deal, which was insane.
National Whole Foods deal.
National.
One more time. National Whole Foods deal.
Yeah. A huge deal. Could not live in the moment because we had maybe like $10,000 or less in the bank. And our manufacturer who would produce that product that was shipped to Whole Foods was like, if you don't come up with $40,000 by next week, your business is done. Like, you're not working with us.
This production and manufacturing timetable, having products and materials ready to go before they commit to a contract, not everyone is familiar with what that looks like.
Yeah.
I think we all just pick up that happy pop and we drink it and we get super excited, but we don't realize the strategy, the financial planning and structuring leading up to that. So I'm liking that you're telling us 10,000 might sound like a lot, but for a business that needs to produce on a national scale, we need XYZ in order to
purchase raw materials, so the ingredients, to purchase the packaging, freight, and you have to have all these things, and you have to schedule it to arrive like across the country, and then you have to make sure that you're paying for the line time in order to produce it, because there's the labor.
Line time.
Yep, it's the labor. So line time is like you're renting this time on the production line in order to produce your product. So that's an added cost that goes into your cost of goods.
It's a cost and it's a workflow timetable calculation. To complete the full cycle of happy pop to my lips.
Yes.
To my lips. Yes, please.
I have to design the label, which costs money. I have to pay for the label, which could be like 30 cents. Pay for the can, which could be another 30 cents. Then I have to buy each raw material in the minimum quantity. That's another thing. You can't just buy an ingredient and expect that they're going to have the exact. So if I need 50 pounds of this and their minimums are 100 pounds, I have to buy 100 pounds, which costs more money.
And that also presents risk to your organization, correct?
It does, because there's shelf life. You have to time the shelf life of each ingredient. So if there's something that's like 2 years, another thing that's 6 months, you might not want to order too much of the thing that has 6 months shelf life, because then you're sitting on a ton of raw material. So there's a lot of planning. It typically takes us about 2 to 3 months to plan for a production. And when you don't have money, you're not going to produce. And if you're pitching to a retailer, the first thing they want to know is that you have the cash to produce, so that when they run out of product, their shelves are not sitting empty.
I love that you're breaking this down for me and everyone else that's paying attention to this conversation, because this is mission critical. Your entire product planning and development line relies on getting a deal.
Yes.
So that you know why you're investing in this whole process. And also the other way around, you have to have a product worthy of them investing in, and you want to keep those orders coming. So it's not just the quality of the product. What other things convince these buyers to continue buying with you outside of how delicious it is?
So number one, the product does have to be delicious, but they also have to understand what is the value of the product. And then you have to price it according to that value, right? So I once, started a cookie company, and the cookies.
I love your entrepreneurial hustle so much. Now, were the cookies also protein and high energy? Or
that's the thing. They were not. Woo! And so they were to manage your blood sugar. And they still exist today. It's called Joy Days. Sell it in Walmart. 2 cookies.
And we sell it in Walmart. You said that so casually. I have to pause, because I'm not sure if I'm proud of you or annoyed.
So because there were 2 cookies and they're $2.99 for a pack, when I would attempt to sell it into a store, if it didn't have protein or energy, then they're like, why would someone pay $2.99 to manage their blood sugar? Because they can't understand that.
Right.
Like, we understand the value. So it's like, how can you simplify it? Sometimes you have to change the messaging for the audience. The consumer has to understand the value, and so does the buyer. But the buyer might not be as educated all the time, depending on because a lot of these guys are like old school.
They're looking for a keyword, a trigger word, or something that makes sense to them.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's so many different factors, and it's always like when you're developing a product and you're selling, it's like chicken and egg.
Right. Right.
Yes. You got to have money to make money.
That's exactly the truth. But it sounds like in the beginning that wasn't.
Yeah. So we were, in the beginning I was living with multiple people, like living in a living room, not paying myself. And when I could, we were just reinvesting back into the business. Our margins were better because we were local and we were able to price it higher. But once we became more mainstream, we'd have to bring that cost down lower so that consumers can actually afford it in the markets where they shop at the most. So then in order to do that, you have to raise a ton of money. And when do you see a profitable future? It could be years out. And a lot of people, they see a company that's doing like $100 million in sales. They're like, you're so rich. That $100 million is going right in your bank account.
So there's a difference between gross revenue and net. Ooh, net. And then also net for the owner.
Yes.
That's sweat equity.
It is sweat equity, especially if you come from nothing. You're only relying on sweat equity. And then your salary. What salary are you giving yourself? Like, you don't want to set it too high in the beginning because it's a bad signal for employees and investors.
Sure.
So we really don't make money until we cash out.
So you don't make money until you make that money.
Until you make the money. I mean, you can have a high salary.
Yeah.
Even then, it's like you don't make that $1 million that people see, and that having that like 8 figures in your bank account comes when you actually sell the company or sell a piece of the company.
And sometimes that 8 figures is spoken for. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What advice would you give other Black women that are looking to enter and be successful in the CPG space?
Yes, it is. I'm not going to lie. It's very hard. It's a very tough space to exist in just because there aren't a lot of people that look like us, even though I think culturally, yes, we are the original farmers and harvester of natural food. And it's very embedded into our culture. Something got lost along the way. Yeah. And there's not a lot of support for us. There are organizations now that are trying to support Black farmers and there are people who are coming out with amazing products that lean back as a nod to our lineage, which is great. And I love it. There's so much culture that needs to be in the industry. So I even though it's hard, I encourage many people to start their own thing. But when it comes to raising money, you want to make sure you have really good gross margin to start. And I always say start at 40%.
Okay. That was a very valuable nugget.
Thank you. Yeah.
Attempt to deliver to gross margins of 40%.
40%. Because it's like any lower than that, there is no path to profitability.
Okay.
Before, when I started Koia, the industry was set up in a way of which you could build a really successful company and a really successful brand and community and then lean on the acquirer to create a profitable company. Now they've been burnt by so many acquisitions that ended up just having to like shut down the entire business because they couldn't figure out how to make it profitable. Now they want us to make a profitable company first and then they take it over. So very different landscape.
Was there a moment in this journey where you felt like the best decision was to give up?
Yeah, I think when I exited Koia. So I exited in 2021 and through a secondary market. So that's selling to existing shareholders. When I did that, a lot of people would be like, well, why wouldn't you wait until the end, until like the big payout? Like, why would you take an early exit? And I felt like it was the best decision for me because I've done the thing.
Yeah.
It's big. There's like not, what do you want me to do? It's already in Starbucks. It's in Walmart. It's here. It's in there. I have so much knowledge to give to the world and I wanted to create other products and I wanted to have some cash.
Hey.
Invest. I could live at a comfortable life.
Goosebumps.
Thank you.
We're too far away for a hug, so the knuckle bump will have to do. But how do you approach sustainability in whatever channel you feel like talking about? But I am specifically curious about you as a sustainable resource.
When I think of sustainability, my buzzword is like, how are you being good to the environment and everything?
You. Yes.
And I always keep that in the back of my head. I've recently changed my diet to mostly whole foods where I'm going to the farmer's market every Sunday and I'm like cooking everything I make. I'm like, I got to buy all this stuff and I have to cook it this week and eat it. And I challenge myself.
That is hard.
It's difficult, but thank God, because it's the best decision I've ever made.
Okay.
With that, I'm also thinking of like, what ways can I be more sustainable in my business? It's like sourcing ingredients from companies with great ethics and great pricing and like great quality. So I think about that. Cans were really huge for me. I can't tell you the pain that I feel of putting so many plastic bottles into the world.
Oh, yes.
And it limits us of like partnerships and things like that because sustainability is so important. The way the world's headed, there's no reason to keep creating wasteful things that don't biodegrade. And I try to get involved with organizations that are doing sustainable things. But I also don't want to be like that person that just slaps a 1% on the planet and that's it. And we don't know where the money goes. I'm like, let's be very intentional. Like when I'm going to an event that's about the climate or things like that I'm speaking from my experience, or I'm helping, highlight other leaders in the space. And so I love the entire sustainability world. And hopefully soon I'll get a compost for my house. I'm heading.
You are committed.
Yeah.
I appreciate the intentionality.
Thank you.
What would you say sets your products apart from other products out there in the market?
I always lead with taste. It's taste, and it has to work. Yeah.
Is there a brand, a celebrity, a product, an organization that's out there right now that would be a dream collaboration for you? To be clear, you're everyone's dream collaboration, but who's yours?
For Happy Pop, I'm really looking at organizations that bring the most happiness to the world. There's one I've noticed, that I recently discovered was Matter Neuroscience, and they look at the science of what makes people happy, and they have many different subsets and partnerships. So I was like, if I could partner with them, that would be amazing. So my main goal now is how can I bring more happiness in the world through functional ingredients, and then partnering with other organizations which are along the same mission.
How can I help people be happier in the world through functional ingredients? Yeah. Genius.
We need to revolutionize the way people are managing their mental health, and you don't have to do that through pharmaceuticals all the time.
Thank you. It's so true. We look for all of these things to help us continue.
We need to understand what makes us unhappy and what makes us happy too, and have a better relationship.
So your products, your services, your organizations, the taste is a differentiator. The intentionality is a differentiator. The desire to ensure a multidimensional experience.
Yes.
And not just a single dimensional function.
I love that.
Wow. Yes. I love that. This is you. Listen, this is what you're doing, and I'm just here for the party. I'm just celebrating you. What parts of Happy Pop help us with our happiness?
So there's an ingredient called mucuna purines. It's our active ingredient in Happy Pop.
So I don't have my glasses. Yeah. I'm going to look real crazy at this for a second.
Mucuna purines. Don't worry, we're updating this for the blind so that people can read it more.
Well, I'm not fully blind. I just require reading classes, and I'm trying to be cute. Mood support.
Yep. We nickname it the dopa bean, but it's a velvet bean.
Oh, that's cute.
And it has the highest concentration of L-dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine.
Okay.
So it converts to dopamine in your body, and we combine that with 100 milligrams of caffeine.
Which is just joy, period.
Yes, just pure joy. It makes you happy.
I will say, I have ADHD. I also have OCD, and neurospiciness and neurodivergence is present all over the world. We've learned so much more. And what I've learned about ADHD, I am not a medical doctor, but I do understand that my dopamine levels by nature of my chemical composition is naturally lower. So this feels good to me.
Thank you.
And I thank you for this.
It's people like you and those testimonials that really keep us going, because we do receive a lot of messages from people suffering from ADHD. Someone was like, hey, my daughter has been drinking this and she's much nicer to people at work.
Oh, stop.
She has ADHD.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And they're like, it's helping me manage my ADHD. It's helping me manage my depression. I feel just happier. Dopamine is the motivator. And if you're lacking dopamine, you don't feel motivated to do tasks. You get easily distracted.
I do get easily distracted. This means a lot to me on a personal level.
Thank you.
What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Keep your head down and just keep working and cut out the noise. Staying focused on what the bigger picture is, because again, as we think about entrepreneurship, it is mostly downs and very little ups. So it's what is that added piece that's going to keep you going? Yeah. Especially with all the distractions you added in. So it's like a horrible cocktail of you're not going to get it done.
Horrible cocktail. So what are the tactics? How do you actually do that?
I do a couple of things. So one, get a great night's rest all the time. That keeps me feeling great the next day. Another thing is filtering my content online.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I'm very intentional with who I follow.
Okay.
And so I will mute people if I meet them and they're just like not putting out the stuff. I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
It's fine. And so I make sure that I'm following things that bring me joy, that bring me inspiration and learning. And then there's not snake oil, because there's a lot, I think we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of negative and untrue things on the internet. So it's like, who can you trust? Who inspires you? And who is bringing new ideas and joyous entertainment. And that's how I filter my content. And I think that the third thing is isolation.
Okay.
I isolate. I am an extroverted introvert, so I do love being around people and I get a lot of energy from it. Yeah. But sometimes it can be a little too much. Sure. And so I will take days to myself where I'm just like sitting at home and thinking and meditating. Yeah. I'm stretching. I love stretching.
The way your face changed,
it's the best.
Yeah. So that is clearly the truth.
It's what I do to, I guess, ground myself. And I think there's so much importance in isolating to just reflect and then bring new ideas, journal. So all of these things help me stay focused and help me stay on track and get the noise out.
Filtering your content to make sure it was feeding your values, feeding you positive and healthy, happy vibes, but also still exciting and emergent thought leadership. Like that is, social media has an opportunity to bring so much of that into our lives. And you having the audacity, how dare you? How dare you go and curate your social media and not just let AI do it? You went in, you took the reins and you said, you know what? This is what I want. This is what I don't want. And oh, by the way, for all of you thought leaders out there that are sharing thoughts as facts and do not have data, experience, license to share information across a community who will automatically believe you without questioning. Not only is that entitled, it's also very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Yes.
Who inspires you? Whose emergent thought leadership is your kind of jam?
Mel Robbins is a good one. I listen to some of the things that she says, and she has some really good points. She has a podcast as well. Who else? Melody Hobson, I really look up to her. She doesn't post a lot, but when she does, it's great stuff. And I love
She's brilliant.
Yeah, just to see lifestyle, like how are you staying healthy, and like what organizations, like what's important to you, and how are you like fostering that. It's amazing to see. So sometimes it's just a matter of like keeping up with inspiring people's lives and like how they live their lives, even if it's just a highlight reel. Show me.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Again, your face and body language totally changed, and I'm here for it because that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Are there any other brands out there that you're working with, you're extremely excited about?
Yeah, so I do have on the side like an incubator.
On the side, another business that you've launched from nothing and turned it into something amazing.
The reason behind this was I've been in the industry forever. I have so many resources, and a lot of people who come to me with the curiosity of the industry are like, how do I get started? Like, I have this idea, I just don't know the steps. So what I realized that there are a lot of people with great ideas and they have their own resources and skill sets, but they just don't have the steps and the resources to actually bring that product to market into fruition and commercialization, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I have all those resources and I know exactly what to do. I know the processes. So why not plug people into my network and, help walk them through the process of like develop, and then, hey, get my hands dirty, develop some things as well.
Oh, I love this so much.
Yeah.
There are so many Black entrepreneurs out there that have an incredible product and the heart and the grit, can even find financial resources. Yeah. But cannot seem to get a handle on the operationalization and the monetization of making that thing, their dreams, stick.
Yes.
So that is the value proposition of this incubator.
Yes.
Ooh.
And it's because it's like I've done it, and I've done it twice. I've, 3 times even.
Yes.
And across, beverage, and I've done snacks, and I've invested in snacks. And I was like, yeah, I understand how to bring something from idea to commercialization and have it scale. Because that's where the difficulty comes in. It's like scalability.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many organizations make an assumption that scalability is strictly based on money.
No.
Say more, please.
Especially in food, there's often operational challenges, like from a product stability standpoint, of which in order to scale a product, you have to give up some type of nutritional integrity. Like this is often the challenge, or you have to compromise on flavor and can't use that much sugar, can't use that much salt that you did in your home recipe. It's not scalable. And so therefore you're not going to achieve what you're actually hoping to achieve because the foundation is wrong. And so it goes back into the formulation and then other aspects of like, what if the formulation is great and then we get into money? But what if your formulation is great, but your ingredients are too high cost that you couldn't possibly price it in an affordable way for consumers?
Wow. Thanks for breaking that down. One of the things that I was curious about was your wellness routine, but you shared a little bit about that already. Your love for stretch. The sleep aspect. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
She sleeps. Also, though, what does your life outside of work look like? For anyone that is looking at your resume and seeing all these accolades, we're wondering if it exists.
Life exists for sure. This has been the hardest thing, trying to figure out when am I going to take leisure travel. And, I always plan that out around work travel and make sure that I'm lowering my carbon emissions in flight time because I just don't like flight time. And so,
thank you for putting that out there.
So if I'm in New York and I'm not going to travel to Europe from LA, I'm going to travel to Europe from New York, being very intentional about that. But my everyday routine, well, it's very important for me to work out. I just started doing Pilates maybe a few months ago.
Okay.
That's my new workout now. It's every LA girl's workout.
Well, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
I feel that energy.
So I do it 3 times a week, sometimes more intense forms than others. It just depends on like how I'm feeling. But I know that if I make that schedule ahead of time, then the day's going to go well because I know that I'm getting up. I have a rule too within my company. If we're going to work out, no workouts past 9:30 a.m. Like everybody needs to have their workout done by 9:30 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
So that, because it kind of throws your day off a little bit if you're like, well, I need to stop work by 5 so I can get to my 6 o'clock workout. It's like, get it done in the morning, then you have the whole day to work all day.
Wow. Right. Or just be focused in the zone. I get it. I get it.
It just gets it off to a good start. So I definitely do that. But my Sunday routine is always the same. I was just telling someone I actually need to break it up a bit so that no one follows that routine because a couple of people have like found me at the farmer's market because I go to the same time every day.
It's a little too predictable in public.
A little too predictable and that's not safe. But on Sundays, I go to early Pilates class, go to the farmer's market, get my natural food, and I always get flowers because that's another form of self-care. Like having the beauty and things that just bring you joy. Picking out this week's like beautiful floral arrangement is just something I love to do alone. I work with this guy named Melrose Flower Boy who's at the Melrose Farmer's Market, and he just puts together my bouquets, and then it just brings me so much joy every week.
He's wonderful.
He is.
I love that for you because he loves that for you.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to have a very successful life ahead of him. Yes. He is. What audacious new goal is tickling your brain and your heart and your spirit?
My incubator for me is my long-term goal because that is my personal portfolio of brands that I've started and I'll have equity in, and I want every brand to be successful. So that's my long-term. Every year I do a best of list, and it's a list that I keep to myself in my notes, but I kind of do it by category of like, what was the best thing I learned, was the best movie I saw, the best guy I dated, like everything goes.
Okay, so best thing you learned, like best lesson.
Yeah.
Best movie.
Best movie.
Did you say best guy I dated? Oh.
Because, sometimes...
I'm not sure where to go with that, but I want to. Okay, so after best guy you dated, what comes after that?
Like the best food that I tasted that year. Because sometimes I get really obsessed with like one type of food, and then like that's the thing that I've like obsessed with this year. And it's just like a very good reflection point. I probably have like 10 things. I can't remember them all, but it's a very good reflection point for me, because when I look back, I'll look at the years of like, what was exciting me this year? What was exciting me the year before? This year, I want to learn 2 new skills.
Okay.
One is how to swim. I do a lot of water sports, but I don't know how to swim, and it's very dangerous. And then I want to learn how to play the piano.
Wow. I would be remiss if I didn't offer my services to help you learn how to swim. My grandfather was an Olympic swim coach for the U.S. women's national team.
Are you serious?
In the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea.
Wow.
I swam for him. I swam in college. We are a water family, which surprises some.
That's amazing.
As we are a Black family,
Yes, yeah.
we feel very, very strongly about water as swimming as a life skill, safety, and joy. So I would love to be that partner for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is amazing.
Done and done.
Yay.
So we started off this conversation focusing on how others might see you or experience you, how that's impacted your business. Who does she think she is? This last question has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
At this point in your life and in your career, I'm way more interested in hearing you tell all of us, who do you know you are?
Who do I know I am? I know I'm special.
Oh, you are so special.
And so I would say I am special, I'm unique, I'm charismatic, and I, like you said, purposeful.
Yes.
My main purpose is just to leave the earth better than I found it, leave people better than I found them, and add as much value as possible before I die.
You are so achieving that. I hope you know that. This conversation alone has changed my world perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much.
Lovely meeting you.
It's been such a pleasure meeting you, and I am so excited you're going to let me teach you how to swim.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm very excited.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We'll have to schedule that out.
Yeah.
Because I am very serious.
Yeah, me too. I got to learn. The faster I learn, the better.
It would also make me feel good too, knowing that you're out there doing water sports.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We had a wildly delicious conversation about everything that Maya French is putting out into the world with intention and purpose. You have joined us for Who Does She Think She Is with Mele Miller, audaciously disrupting money culture in America, because it needs to be disrupted.